Hello there, and welcome. Welcome, dear friend, to this quiet space, this sanctuary carved out of the edges of the day. The noise of the world, with its demands and its hurried pace, has faded into a gentle hum. The light has softened, the shadows have grown long and deep, and here, in this moment, there is only your breath, the stillness around you, and the sound of my voice. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you release it, imagine you are letting go of the weight of the hours behind you. Let the lists, the worries, the conversations, let them all dissolve like mist in the cool night air. Allow your body to feel heavy, supported, and at peace. Feel the gentle pull of rest, the sweet invitation of slumber that awaits you. There is nothing for you to do right now, nothing to solve, nothing to be. You need only to listen, to drift, and to wonder. For tonight, we are not just telling a story, we are embarking on a journey. We will travel back, far back, beyond the pages of written history, beyond the stone monuments and forgotten cities, to a time when the world itself was younger, its heart beating with a wild and potent magic. We journeyed to an age when gods and goddesses walked the earth, when the rustle of leaves in an olive grove could be a divine whisper, and the crash of a wave upon the shore could be the laughter of a titan. It was a world alive, imbued with spirit, where every sunrise was a promise, and every sunset was a mystery. And upon the highest peak of this enchanted world, veiled in gold and silver clouds, stood Mount Olympus. It was not a place you could find on any map, but a realm that existed both in the world and beyond it. Here dwelt the immortals, beings of immense power, whose passions were as vast as the heavens and as deep as the oceans. They were the architects of destiny, the weavers of fate, their stories filled with thunderous joy, profound sorrow, brilliant creation, and heartbreaking loss. Their lives were a grand tapestry, and we even now are touched by the threads they wove so long ago. Among these powerful deities, these forces of nature given form and name, existed countless domains. There was the god of the roaring thunder, the goddess of the silent hunt, the lord of the sun's golden chariot, and the queen of the fertile earth. Each held dominion over a piece of existence, a fundamental aspect of life itself. But there is one force, one energy, more ancient and more fundamental than any kingdom or crown. It is the force that pulls the tide to the moon, the energy that urges the seed to break through the soil and reach for the light. It is the unspoken rhythm in a lover's heartbeat, the breathtaking symmetry in the spiral of a seashell, the fierce courage that drives a mother to protect her child. It is the golden thread that connects all living things, a silent, powerful current that flows through the universe, binding it together in an intricate, beautiful dance.
It is the power of love, and its inseparable twin, the power of beauty. Think of them not as mere feelings or simple aesthetics. In this ancient world, they were seen as something far more profound. Beauty was the divine blueprint of the cosmos, the perfect geometry in a single snowflake, the radiant harmony in a star-filled sky. It was the proof of a grand cosmic order, And love was the engine of that cosmos. It was the will to create, the desire to connect, the yearning for unity that sparked life into existence. It was not always gentle. It could be as fierce as a storm and as consuming as a fire. But without it, the universe would be a cold, silent, and empty place. The ancients knew this. They felt this power in every aspect of their lives. They saw it in the blush of a spring blossom, felt it in the warmth of a shared glance, and heard it in the melodies of a heartfelt song. They understood that this force was too grand, too essential to be an abstract concept. It had to have a source, a face, a name. It needed an embodiment, a deity who could hold all the passion, all the grace, all the heartache, and all the splendor of this universal power. And so they gave this force a name that has been whispered on the lips of poets, artists, lovers, and dreamers for millennia. A name that rings with the sound of the ocean and shines with the light of the morning star. Her name is Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. She was not a goddess of quiet affection, but of overwhelming, world-altering passion. She was not a goddess of simple prettiness, but of a beauty so profound, so absolute, that it could drive mortals to madness and inspire gods to poetry. She was the laughter in the gentle breeze, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the irresistible pull of desire, and the heart-achingly beautiful sorrow of a love that is lost. Tonight we will delve into her story, but her tale does not begin on the marble halls of Olympus, among the thrones of the gods. It does not start in a palace or a temple built in her honor. No, the story of Aphrodite begins in a place far more elemental, more chaotic, and more magical. Her story begins in the very heart of creation, born from the conflict of the heavens and the churning, life-giving foam of the endless sea. So let your mind drift now across the sea of time to the dawn of the gods. Let the rhythm of the waves be the rhythm of your breathing, and prepare to witness the birth of a legend, the arrival of a goddess who would forever change the world simply by being. This is the story of Aphrodite, and it begins now. And so our story begins, not on solid ground, but in the great, deep, dreaming sea. The ocean of that primordial age was a different entity than the one we know. It was the womb of the world, a vast expanse of mystery and potential, its waters holding the memories of creation itself. Its tides rose and fell not just with the pull of the moon, but with the very breath of the sleeping cosmos. To understand the birth that is to come, we must first look to the heavens above that ancient sea. Before the age of mortals, even before the reign of Zeus and the Olympians we know so well, the universe was ruled by the Titans and their predecessors, the primordial gods. There was Uranus, the father sky, a vast and starry canopy who blanketed the world. And there was Gaia, the mother earth, from whose fertile body all life sprang. But creation is rarely a peaceful process. It is often born of conflict, of change, of one power giving way to the next. And so it was that a great and terrible conflict arose between the primal sky, Uranus, and his ambitious son Cronus, who was the embodiment of time itself. It was a battle not of swords and shields, but of cosmic forces, a struggle for dominion over the newly formed world. In a moment of silent cosmic finality, Cronus rose up against the eternal sky. In a single, sweeping act that would forever alter the balance of power, Cronus wounded his father. From this celestial wound, a divine essence, pure and potent, fell from the heavens. Droplets of celestial blood, shimmering with the light of 1,000 distant stars, rained down upon the world. Some fell upon the fertile land of Mother Earth, and from them in time would spring other powerful beings, the Furies, the giants, and the nymphs of the ash trees. But some of this divine essence, this life force of the very heavens, fell upon the water. It touched the surface of the great Mother Ocean. Imagine that moment. The sacred, powerful essence of the sky, the very fabric of the cosmos, meeting the boundless, maternal, and mysterious energy of the sea. It was not a violent impact, but a holy union, a celestial alchemy. Where the divine droplets touched the waves, the water did not simply absorb them. It reacted, it transformed. The sea began to hiss and sing, not with anger, but with a creative fervor. The salt and the starlight, the celestial essence and the earthly water began to churn and swirl together. A great, billowing field of iridescent foam began to form upon the surface of the waves. This was the Aphros, the sacred sea foam, and it was unlike any other. It did not dissipate in the wind or break upon the currents. Instead, it grew, gathering energy, glowing with an inner luminescence. It was a living cradle of light, pearlescent and shimmering, cradled by the gentle rocking of the sea.
The chaos of the cosmic battle above was now being transmuted by the ocean into something entirely new. The violence of creation was being woven into the harmony of existence. For hours, or perhaps for ages, for time moves differently in the realm of myth, this divine foam swirled and danced upon the water. The winds, the boisterous suns of the sky, held their breath, their mighty gales softening to a reverent whisper. The sun, seeing this miracle unfolding below, sent down a single gentle ray of gold to warm the glowing foam. And the moon, in her silver chariot, paused in her journey across the night sky, casting a soft, ethereal glow upon the scene. All of creation seemed to stop, to watch, to wait. Within this luminous heart, a form began to coalesce. It was not a sudden shaping, but a slow and gracious emergence, as if a sculptor of impossible skill was carving a masterpiece from pure light and water. First, a silhouette, impossibly perfect, rose from the center of the foam. Then details began to emerge, as if being dreamed into existence. Hair, the color of spun gold and seafoam white, cascaded down, carrying with it the scent of salt and ancient mysteries. Skin, as smooth and pale as alabaster, glowed with an inner warmth, untouched by sun or shadow.
Limbs, long and graceful, moved with the gentle rhythm of the tides, and from this perfect form an aura of profound peace began to radiate outwards, calming the very waves that had given her life. And then she opened her eyes, and in them the universe saw itself reflected for the first time in a new and beautiful light. Her eyes held the depth of the ancient sea and the light of the first dawn. They held no judgment, no fear, no anger, only a deep, unwavering, and unconditional love for all of existence. She stood there, poised upon the water, some say upon the open half of a great scallop shell that had risen from the depths to serve as her chariot. She was not a child, nor was she an elder. She had been born fully formed, timeless and eternal expression of the beauty she embodied. She was not made of flesh and bone in the way that mortals are, but of starlight and sea salt, of cosmic longing and of divine grace. In her presence there was no conflict, only harmony. There was no ugliness, only a breathtaking beauty that could be found in the smallest drop of water and the grandest sweep of the stars. With her first breath she did not gasp, but sighed a gentle melody that carried on the wind, a song that would forever teach the birds to sing and inspire poets to write. The moment of her birth was a silent declaration. A new law had been written into the fabric of the universe. It was the law that stated that even from chaos, beauty can be born. That from conflict, love can emerge. That the universe was not just a place of power and struggle, but also a place of grace, desire, and profound connection. The great Mother Ocean, her work complete, gently nudged the shell, her newborn daughter, towards the shore. The journey had just begun. The world of gods and mortals awaited, unaware that a new, irresistible power had just been born from the foam, a power that would shape destinies, inspire masterpieces, and break and mend countless hearts. The goddess of love had arrived.
The great sea, the mother of all waters, had cradled her newborn daughter for as long as it could. Now, with a gentle and loving purpose, it began to guide her towards the world of earth and air. Her chariot, the pearlescent scallop shell, did not bob or sway upon the waves. It glided, moving with a grace that seemed to command the very currents, leaving a trail of shimmering, opalescent light in its wake. Above her the sky, still healing from its cosmic wound, seemed to soften. The harsh light of the noonday sun mellowed into a warm golden glow, as if the sun itself was blushing at the sight of such beauty. The clouds, once scattered and aimless, began to drift and gather, forming soft, white shapes that resembled doves and swans, paying homage to the goddess below. The first winds to greet her were the gentle zephyrs, the western breezes, who had been holding their breath in awe. Now they were released from their silent reverence. But they did not blow with their usual playful force. Instead they came as a tender caress, a soft sigh that whispered through her golden hair, lifting it like a silken banner. They carried with them the scent of distant wild flowers and the promise of land, gently propelling her forward, their breath her first guide in this new world. For what seemed like a timeless journey across the sapphire expanse, she drifted, Dolphins, their skin glistening like polished silver, leapt from the water in joyful arcs around her shell, their clicks and whistles forming a song of welcome. Below, in the sun-dappled depths, schools of brightly colored fish swirled in intricate patterns, creating living mandalas in her honor. The old wise sea turtles paused in their ancient migrations, lifting their heads from the water to gaze upon her with eyes that held the wisdom of ages. The entire ocean, from its greatest leviathans to its smallest shimmering fish, recognized her as its own. She was the sea's daughter, its most perfect creation, its gift to the waiting world. Slowly, an outline appeared on the horizon, a smudge of green and gold against the endless blue. It was the island of Cythera, a jewel set in the Aegean Sea. As her shell drew nearer, the island itself seemed to awaken. The shore, which had been a quiet stretch of pale sand, began to transform. Tiny, dormant seeds, buried deep beneath the dunes, felt the pulse of her approaching presence. Stirred by this new life-affirming energy, they began to sprout. Delicate green shoots pushed their way up through the sand, unfurling leaves of the deepest emerald. And then they bloomed. In the span of a few heartbeats, the barren coastline was carpeted in a riot of color. Anemones, their petals as soft as silk, opened in shades of deep red and gentle pink, a tribute to the celestial blood from which she was born. Wild roses, their thorns softening in her presence, bloomed in fragrant clusters, releasing a sweet perfume that mingled with the salt of the sea air. The very earth was celebrating her arrival, adorning itself in its finest garments to welcome its new queen.
As the great scallop shell finally touched the sand, it did so with a soundless kiss. The foam of the waves that lapped at the shore around her feet seemed to sparkle with a renewed intensity. Aphrodite took her first step onto solid ground. And where her divine foot touched the earth, the transformation was even more profound. The sand beneath her feet did not just support her, it blossomed. Tiny, perfect flowers, whiter than the sea foam, sprang into existence with her every step, creating a living pathway of blossoms. The grass that grew to meet her was softer than any velvet, and the air itself grew thick with the intoxicating scent of myrrh and honey. She stood there for the first time, breathing the air of the mortal world. She was a vision of such impossible grace that even the light seemed to bend around her, reluctant to cast a shadow upon her perfect form. It was then that she was met by her first attendants, the Hurai, the goddesses of the seasons, who had seen her arrival from their celestial watchtowers, descended from the heavens to greet her. They came cloaked in the essence of their domain. Irene, the goddess of peace, brought a sense of profound tranquility. Eunomia, the goddess of order, brought a gentle harmony to the scene, and Dike, the goddess of justice, brought a sense of rightness, of balance, as if Aphrodite's arrival had corrected a long-standing imbalance in the universe. They approached her not as subjects to a queen, but as sisters welcoming a long-lost sibling. They marveled at her beauty, their divine eyes filled with wonder. With gentle hands they began to adorn her. They draped her in robes woven from the threads of a summer sunset, fabric that shimmered with hues of rose, gold, and lavender. They placed a delicate golden diadem upon her head, shaped like the crest of a wave, a reminder of her oceanic birth. They fastened delicate sandals to her feet, their straps woven from light itself. Finally, they anointed her with ambrosia,
the immortal nectar of the gods, not to make her immortal, for she was already so, but rather as a rite of passage, a final welcome into the divine family. The scent of the ambrosia, a fragrance of unimaginable sweetness, spread across the island, a sign to all of creation that a new and powerful goddess had officially arrived. She was no longer just a beautiful form born of the sea. She was now Aphrodite, robed in splendor, crowned in gold, her divinity fully realized. She looked out from the shores of Cythera, her gaze sweeping over the blossoming land and the now calm sea. Her heart, a vessel of pure love, swelled with affection for this beautiful, vibrant world. Her journey was far from over. The path to Mount Olympus, to her place among the pantheon of gods, still lay before her. But here, on this flower-strewn shore, surrounded by the adoration of nature itself, her reign had already begun. The world had received its goddess of love, and it would never be the same.
The island of Cythera, now a paradise of eternal spring, held its breath as Aphrodite prepared for the next stage of her journey. The world of earth and sea had paid its homage. Now the heavens awaited. Mount Olympus, the celestial peak, the home of the gods, beckoned. Her ascent was not a climb of rock and stone. It was a journey of pure will and divine purpose. Guided by the Horai, the goddesses of the seasons, a chariot appeared, drawn not by horses, but by a flock of pure white doves. Their wings beat in a synchronized rhythm, creating a gentle breeze that smelled of roses and myrrh. The chariot itself was not made of gold or bronze, but seemed to be carved from a single giant pearl, its surface shimmering with all the colors of the dawn. As Aphrodite stepped into the chariot, a sense of profound peace settled over the island. The flowers she had created bowed their heads in a silent farewell, and the waves whispered a soft goodbye upon the shore. She was leaving her birthplace, but her essence, the very spirit of love and beauty, would forever linger there. The chariot rose into the air, ascending smoothly, effortlessly, into the vast blue expanse. It did not race through the sky, but floated, as if climbing a gentle, invisible river that flowed upwards towards the heavens. Below, the world unfurled like a magnificent map. The deep blue of the Aegean Sea, the patchwork of green islands, the distant sun-kissed lands. From this vantage point, she could see the interconnectedness of all things, the beautiful, intricate patterns of life that she was now destined to influence. As she drew closer to the veiled peak of Olympus, the air itself began to change. It grew thinner, purer, filled with a light that was neither of the sun nor the moon, but a divine luminescence that emanated from the home of the gods. The clouds that perpetually shrouded the mountain from mortal eyes parted for her, as if they were grand silken curtains being drawn aside to reveal a magnificent stage. And what a stage it was! The gates of Olympus, massive and forged from polished clouds, swung open without a sound, moved by an unseen hand. Beyond them lay a world of impossible splendor. The halls of the gods were not built, but seemed to grow from the very substance of the mountain, their marble pillars gleaming with an inner light. Golden streets wound through groves of ambrosial trees, their leaves rustling with melodies of their own.
Fountains of pure nectar bubbled and sang in courtyards paved with starlight. The air hummed with a quiet power, a resonant energy that was the collective presence of the immortal gods.
Her arrival did not go unnoticed. A hush fell over the celestial realm. Apollo, the god of music, paused, his golden lyre falling silent midstrum. Ares, the god of war, whose heart knew only the thrill of battle, felt a strange and unfamiliar warmth spread through his chest, a feeling that was not rage, but something far more potent. Hermes, the swift messenger, stopped in his flight, his winged sandals hovering motionless in the air. And then they saw her. Aphrodite stepped from her chariot, and for the first time the assembled gods of Olympus laid eyes upon the goddess of love and beauty. It was a moment that would be forever etched into their immortal memories. She did not walk with the thunderous authority of Hera or the stern stride of Athena. She moved with a grace that was like poetry in motion, her every step a note in a silent, beautiful song. The light of Olympus seemed to gather around her, making her glow even more brightly. Her presence was not a challenge to their power, but an addition to it, a new and vital harmony that the divine orchestra had been missing without realizing it. Zeus, the king of the gods, rose from his great throne. His eyes, which had witnessed the birth of stars and the fall of titans, widened in genuine astonishment. He saw in her not a potential rival, but the living embodiment of a force as fundamental as his own thunderbolts. He saw the beauty that gives meaning to creation, the love that gives purpose to existence. Hera, the queen of the gods, ever watchful and proud, felt a pang of something complex. It was not simple jealousy, not yet. It was a deep, grudging respect for a power she could not deny. She recognized in Aphrodite a different kind of authority, not the power of command, but the power of irresistible influence. The gods and goddesses gathered, their usual boisterous energy subdued by a collective awe. They saw that her beauty was not a mere surface attribute. It was her very essence. It was in the gentle curve of her smile, the kindness in her gaze, the peaceful aura that radiated from her and calmed even the most turbulent of immortal hearts. They understood in that moment that she was not just a goddess, she was the goddess of beauty, the ultimate standard by which all beauty would now be measured. Zeus, with a voice that could command the cosmos, spoke, and his tone was one of genuine welcome. He declared her a daughter of Olympus, granting her a place among their sacred pantheon. He offered her a golden throne, intricately carved with images of swans, roses, and the sea from which she was born. And so Aphrodite took her seat among the immortals. She was the final, perfect piece of the Olympian puzzle. She brought with her a new dimension to their existence. She would teach them that passion could be as powerful as logic, that grace could be as effective as strength, and that love, in all its forms, from the most tender affection to the most consuming desire, was a force that could move gods and mortals alike. On that day, Olympus was not just her new home. It was a kingdom that had found its queen of beauty. Her reign, quiet yet absolute, had begun. The heavens themselves had been conquered not by force, but by the simple, undeniable power of her presence.
Aphrodite's throne on Mount Olympus was not just a seat of honor. It was a focal point,
a nexus from which her divine energy flowed out into the world. Her power was unlike any other in the pantheon. It was not wielded like a thunderbolt, nor was it forged like a weapon. It was a presence, a current, an irresistible influence that moved not through force, but through the willing hearts of all living things. To understand her power, you must first understand that for the ancients, love was not merely an emotion. It was a cosmic principle. It was the fundamental attraction that held the universe together, the force that drew atoms to form stars, the pull that guided rivers to the sea, the instinct that compelled a flower to turn its face toward the sun. It was the universe's deep and abiding yearning for connection, for wholeness, and Aphrodite was the keeper of this sacred fire. From her place on Olympus, she did not need to issue commands. Her influence was as natural and as pervasive as the air itself. When a young mortal felt the first shy flutterings of affection for another, that was Aphrodite, gently touching their heart. When an artist staring at a block of cold, unyielding marble was suddenly struck with a vision of breathtaking beauty, that was Aphrodite, whispering inspiration into their soul. When a lone shepherd watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of rose and gold felt a wave of profound peace and connection to the world, that too was the grace of Aphrodite. Her domain was the world of the heart, and the heart, as she knew, was the true ruler of both gods and mortals. Zeus, for all his power, could be brought to his knees by a captivating glance. Ares, the indomitable god of war, would lay down his blood-stained spear for a tender caress. Even Hades, the grim and solitary lord of the underworld, was not immune, for it was a form of love, a deep and possessive longing that led him to his queen, Persephone. Aphrodite's power was the quiet, undeniable truth that emotion, desire, and connection could override even the grandest designs of logic and power. And then there was her other domain, beauty. Like love, beauty was not just a superficial quality. It was the tangible manifestation of harmony, of divine order. It was the perfect mathematical ratio in the petals of a lily, the graceful arc of a bird in flight, the soul-stirring melody of a perfectly played lyre. Beauty was the language the cosmos used to express its own perfection. And Aphrodite did not just embody this principle, she was its source. The gods and goddesses of Olympus quickly learned the extent of her influence. They would come to her for counsel, not on matters of war or statecraft, but on the far more complicated matters of the heart. Hera might seek her aid in rekindling the affection of a wandering Zeus. Apollo might ask for her blessing on a new song, hoping to capture a fraction of her perfect harmony. Mortals, too, felt her presence in their daily lives. They would build temples in her honor, not in bustling city centers, but in peaceful, beautiful groves, often near the sea, her birthplace. They would leave offerings of fragrant flowers, ripe pomegranates, and polished seashells. They prayed to her not for riches or for victory in battle, but for the success of a budding romance, for the safe birth of a child, or simply for the grace to see and appreciate the beauty in their own lives. She was a goddess of profound intimacy, present in the most personal and vulnerable moments of existence. Her power was a beautiful paradox. It was gentle enough to be felt in the whisper of a lover, yet strong enough to start wars. It was personal enough to live within a single human heart, yet vast enough to encompass the entire cosmos. She was the goddess of the grandest passions and the smallest, most tender moments. She was the silent, beautiful, and inescapable law that governed all hearts. And from her throne on Olympus, her reign of love and beauty had only just begun. Like all the great gods of Olympus, Aphrodite's essence was too vast to be captured in a single form. Her power, her story, and her very being were reflected in the world around her through symbols, living creatures, fragrant blossoms, and enchanted objects that were extensions of her own divine nature. To understand these symbols is to understand the different facets of her heart, the many ways her power touched the world. First, there were her secret birds, the gentle doves. Imagine a flock of them, their feathers as pure and white as the sea foam from which she was born. See them circling in the soft, golden light of an Olympian afternoon, their wings making not a sound, but a gentle, rhythmic whisper. The dove was her constant companion, her messenger, her spirit made manifest in the living world. The choice of the dove was no accident. In the ancient world, these birds were seen as symbols of profound peace, gentle devotion, and unwavering loyalty. They mate for life, and their soft, cooing calls were thought to be a language of pure affection. When the gods saw a pair of doves building a nest, they saw a reflection of Aphrodite's blessing upon a devoted couple. When mortals heard their gentle song at dawn, it was a reminder that love awakens with the new day, soft and full of promise. The doves that drew her celestial chariot were more than just birds. They were living emblems of the tender, nurturing side of love. They represented the love that is patient and kind, the love that builds a home, the love that finds its greatest joy in simple companionship. They were the whisper of affection, the promise of peace, the silent vow of a heart given freely and forever. Next, there was her sacred flower, the eternal rose. Picture a single, perfect rose blooming in a hidden celestial garden. Its petals are not just red, but a deep, velvety crimson, the color of a beating heart. Each petal is as soft as silk, and from its core emanates a fragrance so sweet, so intoxicating, that it could make even the most stoic god pause and sigh with longing. The rose, with its breathtaking beauty and its sharp hidden thorns, was the perfect symbol for the complexity of love itself. The velvety softness of its petals represented the tenderness, the beauty, and the sheer bliss of a heart in love. The intoxicating fragrance was the overwhelming, all-consuming nature of passion, the way desire can fill every corner of one's senses. But the thorns were a reminder of a deeper truth. They represented the pain that is so often intertwined with deep love. The sorrow of separation, the sting of jealousy, the ache of a love that is not returned. The thorns taught that to open oneself to the profound beauty of the rose, one must also be willing to risk the pain of the thorn. Aphrodite understood this better than anyone. Love, in its truest, most powerful form, was a beautiful, fragrant, and sometimes painful miracle. The rose held all of that truth within its perfect form. It was said that the first roses sprang from the earth where her tears of sorrow fell for her lost love Adonis, forever linking the flower to both passion and heartache. Finally, there was her most potent and mysterious possession, her enchanted girdle, the Kestos Imas. This was not a belt of leather or a sash of gold. Imagine instead a soft, intricately woven band of fabric that seemed to be made from pure, shimmering light. It was embroidered with threads of desire, woven with spells of enchantment, and imbued with all the irresistible allure of the goddess herself. It was not an object of vanity, but a vessel of her most concentrated power. When Aphrodite wore this magic girdle, her natural charm was amplified 1,000-fold. No one, god or mortal, could resist the wearer's appeal. It did not create a false illusion, but rather it worked a deeper magic. It allowed the wearer to reflect the deepest desires of the onlooker's heart. When someone looked upon the wearer of the girdle, they saw not just a beautiful form, but the very embodiment of their own personal dream of love and perfection. It held within its threads the power of sweet whispers, the allure of a captivating glance, the unspoken promises of a lover's embrace, and the gentle, overwhelming longing that is the very essence of romance. This girdle was so powerful that even the great queen of the gods, Hera, once came to Aphrodite to borrow it. She sought to win back the wandering affections of her husband Zeus, and she knew that no power on Olympus was more suited to the task than the magic woven into Aphrodite's girdle. It was a testament to the fact that even the Queen of the Heavens acknowledged that the ultimate power lay not in thunder or in command, but in the undeniable, enchanting, and sometimes magical force of love. These symbols, the gentle dove, the beautiful and thorny rose, the enchanted girdle, were more than just her possessions. They were her stories, told without words. They were windows into her soul, revealing the many layers of the powerful, complex, and beautiful force she embodied. They were her gifts to the world, reminders that love is a tapestry of peace, passion, pain, and pure, irresistible magic. Upon her arrival in the gleaming halls of Olympus, the beauty of Aphrodite became a source of both wonder and quiet concern. The gods, from the mighty Zeus to the swift Hermes, were utterly captivated by her. Her presence was a light so brilliant that it threatened to disrupt the delicate balance of power in their celestial home. Zeus, in his wisdom, feared that this new overwhelming beauty could spark a great and terrible rivalry among the gods. They might compete for her affections with a passion so fierce it could tear their immortal kingdom apart. A solution was needed, one that would anchor this radiant new goddess, grounding her irresistible allure in a stable, undeniable bond. And so, in a decision that stunned the entire pantheon, Zeus decreed that Aphrodite would be given in marriage, but not to one of the handsome, powerful gods who vied for her attention, not to the radiant Apollo or the mighty Ares. No, her husband was to be Hephaestus. Hephaestus, the god of the forge, the master craftsman, the divine artisan. He was the son of Hera, and in some tales of Zeus as well. But he was unlike any of his Olympian brethren. While they reveled in music, war, and politics in the sunlit halls of the mountain, Hephaestus found his solace deep in the fiery heart of volcanoes, in the rhythmic clang of a hammer on an anvil, in the patient and solitary act of creation.
And he was not beautiful. He had been born with a lame leg, and his form was stooped and burly from a lifetime of hard labor. His hands, though capable of crafting the most exquisite jewels and the most ingenious machines, were calloused and rough. His face was often smudged with soot, and his brow furrowed in concentration. He was the god of function, of substance, of the hidden beauty that lies in a well-made thing. He was the opposite of the effortless, radiant grace that Aphrodite embodied. The pairing seemed to all Olympus a cruel and baffling joke. The goddess of perfect beauty was to be wed to the only imperfect god. The embodiment of effortless grace was to be bound to the lord of tireless labor. It was a union of the most extreme opposites. And yet, perhaps in this contrast there was a deeper wisdom, a quieter, more profound story than the other gods could see.
Imagine their wedding. It was not a grand, boisterous affair. It was a quiet ceremony, imbued with a strange and poignant solemnity. Aphrodite, the vision of celestial light, stood beside Hephaestus, the master of fire and stone. It was the meeting of the finished masterpiece and the dedicated artist, the poem and the hand that writes it. Hephaestus, for his part, loved her with a deep and quiet intensity that was as powerful as the volcanic fires he commanded. His love was not in grand pronouncements or passionate displays. It was in his work. For his beautiful bride he poured all of his genius and all of his heart into his creations. In his subterranean forge, he crafted for her the most magnificent gifts the world had ever seen. He built her a golden throne that seemed to be woven from solidified sunlight. He fashioned for her delicate automated handmaidens made of pure gold, who could walk, talk, and anticipate her every need. He created for her jewelry of such exquisite design that it seemed to capture the light of the stars themselves. Necklaces of shimmering diamonds, bracelets of spiraling silver, and earrings that chimed with a music only she could hear. These were not mere objects of luxury. They were his love letters, written in metal and gemstone. Each perfectly cut facet, each gracefully curved line was a testament to his adoration. Through his craft, the god of imperfection created perfect things for the goddess of perfection. He could not match her beauty in form, so he surrounded her with a beauty of his own making. And Aphrodite, in her own way, brought a different kind of gift to his life. She brought a softness to his harsh, fiery world. Her presence was a gentle light in the smoky darkness of his forge. She was the grace that he sought to emulate in his work, the ideal of harmony that he strove to capture in every piece he created. Their union was a quiet lesson for the cosmos. It was a story about the nature of beauty itself. It suggested that beauty is not a single narrow ideal. It taught that there is a profound beauty in the calloused hands that can create a masterpiece. It showed that there is a deep and abiding love in the patient, tireless act of making something for another. It was a reminder that the most beautiful things in the universe are often born from the union of opposites, of light and shadow, of grace and effort, of the flawless form and the dedicated, imperfect creator. Though their story would have its own sorrows and complexities, as all tales of the heart do, their marriage was, at its core, a beautiful, silent poem. It was the eternal dance between the art and the artist, the muse and the maker, a quiet testament to the truth that love can be found and beauty can be created in the most unexpected of places.
While Aphrodite's marriage to the steady and creative Hephaestus was a poem of quiet devotion, there was another side to the goddess's heart, another facet of the powerful force she embodied. For love is not always calm and patient. It can also be a wild, untamable fire. It can be a consuming passion, a force of nature as powerful and as overwhelming as a summer storm. And this side of her found its perfect and perhaps inevitable reflection in another god, Ares. Ares was the god of war. He was the embodiment of conflict, of raw, untamed energy, of the fierce and brutal struggle for dominance. His heart beat to the rhythm of the war drum. His spirit soared on the clash of sword against shield. He was handsome and powerful, his presence a whirlwind of chaotic energy, his gaze intense and unwavering. In every way, he was the antithesis of the calm, creative Hephaestus. He was destruction where Hephaestus was creation. He was chaos where Hephaestus was order. And to him, Aphrodite, the goddess of peace, harmony, and gentle affection, was irresistibly drawn, and he to her. Their connection was a source of endless gossip and wonder on Mount Olympus. How could the goddess who inspired love songs and gentle poetry be so captivated by the god who reveled in the din of battle? How could the lord of strife find solace in the arms of the bringer of harmony? But their bond was not a simple contradiction. It was a deeper, more elemental truth. It was the recognition that opposites, in their most extreme forms, are often two sides of the same coin. They were the eternal dance of creation and destruction, of peace and conflict. For what is peace, after all, but a beautiful pause in the midst of life's inevitable struggles? And what is the fiercest battle often fought for, if not for the love of a person, a home, or an ideal? Imagine their meetings. They did not happen in the bright open halls of Olympus, but in quiet, hidden moments, in the hush of twilight, or under the secretive veil of the starry night. When they were together, a strange and beautiful alchemy occurred. In Aphrodite's presence, the fierce fire in Ares's heart did not die, but it transformed. The rage of the battlefield softened into a burning passion. The god of mindless conflict found a focus for his immense energy, a single beautiful purpose. For her, he would have conquered the world, not out of the thirst for power, but as a grand, sweeping gesture of devotion. She was the calm at the center of his storm, the one being in the universe who did not fear his wild energy, but saw the passionate heart that lay beneath it.
And in Ares's presence, Aphrodite's gentle nature found a new and powerful expression. With him, her love was not just a soft glow, but a brilliant, consuming flame. He awoke in her the fierce, protective side of love, the love that will fight for what it treasures, the passion that is unafraid and untamed. He was the thunder to her gentle rain, the sharp edge that gave definition to her softness. Together, they were a complete picture of the full spectrum of love's power. Their connection, though fraught with the dangers of secrecy, was not just about passion. It was also about balance. In the grand cosmic scheme, their union represented a fundamental harmony. They were the living embodiment of the idea that without the potential for conflict, peace has no meaning. That without the softness of love, strength has no purpose. From their secret union, several children were born, each one a testament to the complex nature of their bond. There was Eros, the god of desire, who could wield both the sweet joy and the painful arrows of love. There was Antheros, the god of requited love, the answer to a lover's call. And there was Harmonia, a daughter whose very name meant harmony. She was the perfect synthesis of her parents, a goddess who embodied the beautiful, peaceful balance that can be found even in the union of the most extreme opposites. Their tale of Aphrodite and Ares is not a simple story of infidelity. It is a mythological parable about the nature of the universe itself. It teaches us that life is a constant interplay of opposing forces. Light needs darkness to be seen. Silence needs sound to be appreciated. And the gentle, creative force of love, as embodied by Aphrodite, finds its most dynamic and complete expression when it dances with the passionate, chaotic energy of life's great struggles. Their story is a reminder that the heart is a vast and mysterious place, capable of holding both the peace of a quiet harbor and the fury of a raging sea, and that sometimes the most profound and beautiful connections are forged in the fire of contrast, creating a harmony that is all the more precious for the discord it has overcome.
In all her immortal existence, filled with the admiration of gods and the worship of mortals, there was one love that touched the heart of Aphrodite more deeply, more profoundly than any other. It was a love that taught her, the very goddess of love, the truest, most heart-wrenching meaning of her own domain. It was her love for a mortal youth named Adonis. Adonis was not a king, nor was he a great hero. He was a young hunter, born of a tangled and sorrowful lineage, but he himself was a being of pure, uncomplicated beauty. He was, by all accounts, the most handsome mortal man who had ever walked the earth. His beauty was not that of a stern, powerful god, but of a gentle, sun-kissed flower blooming in a wild meadow. He had hair the color of rich earth, eyes the color of a forest pool, and a smile that could make even the hardened nymphs of the woods sigh with affection. When Aphrodite first laid eyes upon him as he was hunting in the verdant forests of Lebanon, her immortal heart, which had toyed with the affections of so many, was truly and completely captured. For the first time, she felt the overwhelming, vulnerable, and utterly human pang of falling in love. She, who could command the desires of all others, now found her own desires centered on this one fleeting mortal life.
She set aside her celestial duties, her golden throne on Olympus seeming cold and empty without him. She abandoned her temples and her sacred groves, her only wish to be by his side. For Adonis she became a huntress herself. She, who had always been surrounded by luxury and grace, now roamed the wild forests with him. She learned the names of the trees and the calls of the birds. She held his hunting spears, not with the strength of a warrior, but with the gentle care of a devoted companion. She warned him, with a love that was mixed with a constant gnawing fear, to be wary of the most dangerous beasts of the forest, the lions, the wolves, and the fierce wild boars. Be brave against the timid, my love, but true courage knows when to be cautious. Her love for him was a gentle, idyllic dream. They would spend their days in the sun-dappled woods, and their evenings resting by quiet streams, his head resting in her lap as she wove wild flowers into his hair. In these moments she was not a great and powerful goddess. She was simply a being in love, treasuring every precious, fleeting moment of his mortal life. She knew, with the deep sorrow that only an immortal can feel, that his time on earth was as brief as the bloom of a rose. But destiny, even for the gods, is a powerful and often cruel current.
One fateful day, while Aphrodite was away, soaring through the sky in her chariot drawn by swans, Adonis went hunting alone. Forgetting her warnings in the thrill of the chase, he came upon the great and ferocious wild boar, a creature of immense power and rage. With the fearless courage of youth, he cast his spear, wounding the beast. But the boar, enraged and in pain, turned upon him. Far away, Aphrodite heard his cry on the wind. It was a sound that pierced her divine heart like a shard of ice. She turned her swan-drawn chariot and flew back as swiftly as a falling star, her heart filled with a terror she had never known. She found him lying among the wildflowers, his life's essence staining the green grass a deep, tragic crimson. She rushed to his side, cradling him in her arms, but it was too late. The light was fading from his beautiful eyes. She wept, and her tears, the tears of a goddess, were not of simple water, but of pure, distilled sorrow. They fell upon the earth, mingling with the blood of her beloved. And where her tears and his blood touched the soil, a miracle of sorrow and beauty occurred. From the earth sprang a new and beautiful flower. Its petals were a deep blood red, a reminder of the life that was lost. But at its heart it was as fragile and as fleeting as the mortal life it represented. This was the anemone, the winged flower, born from a goddess's grief, a flower that blooms so beautifully, but for such a short time, its petals scattered by the first strong breeze. Aphrodite's grief was so profound, so all-consuming, that it echoed even into the dark and silent realm of the underworld. Persephone, the queen of that realm, was moved by the goddess's sorrow. In an act of profound compassion, she made a pact with Aphrodite. Adonis would not be lost to her forever. He would spend half the year in the underworld with Persephone, a silent shade in her quiet kingdom,
But for the other half of the year, he would be allowed to return to the world of the living, to walk again in the sunlit forests, and to be with his beloved Aphrodite. And so a new cycle was born. Each spring, when the anemones bloom and the world awakens from its winter slumber, it is a sign that Adonis has returned from the darkness, and Aphrodite's heart is filled with joy. The world blossoms in sympathy with her happiness. But each autumn, as the flowers fade and the leaves begin to fall, it is a sign that Adonis must return to the underworld, and the world shares in the goddess's quiet sorrow, preparing for the long, lonely winter ahead. This story, the most personal and painful in Aphrodite's long existence, taught her the final, deepest lesson of love. It taught her that love's true power is measured not in joy alone, but in its ability to endure loss. It showed her that beauty is made all the more precious by its fleeting nature, and that even in the deepest grief there is the potential for rebirth, for a new and beautiful life to spring forth.
The stories of Aphrodite, filled with the joy of creation, the wonder of beauty, the complexity of passion, and the deep sorrow of loss, are more than just ancient tales. They are whispers from a timeless heart, carrying with them a profound and gentle wisdom. Her journey, her loves, and her very being are a grand lesson, not just about the gods, but about the very fabric of our own existence. For the power she commands, the force of love, is not a single, simple note, but a grand and beautiful symphony with countless melodies and harmonies. Through her story, we learn that love is not confined to the romantic whisper between two souls. That is but one of its most beautiful expressions. But the love of Aphrodite is vaster, more encompassing. It is in the fierce, unwavering devotion of a mother for her child, a reflection of the goddess's own desperate search for Adonis. It is the protective, nurturing energy that creates a safe harbor in a chaotic world. It is in the quiet, steady companionship of old friends, a bond forged not in fiery passion, but in shared laughter, mutual respect, and the comfort of knowing you are understood without words. This is the gentle, loyal love symbolized by her sacred doves, a love that builds a nest for the heart to rest in. It is in the passionate fire of an artist for their craft, the driving force that compels a sculptor to see a form in uncarpened stone, a poet to find the perfect word for an unspeakable feeling, or a musician to capture a fleeting emotion in a cascade of notes. This is the creative love, the desire to bring more beauty into the world, a direct channel to the goddess's own essence. And it is in the deep, quiet connection we feel with the natural world, the awe that stills your breath as you watch a meteor streak across a star-dusted sky, the profound peace that settles in your soul as you stand in a silent, ancient forest, the sunlight filtering through the leaves like a divine blessing. The simple, pure joy of feeling the warm sun on your skin or listening to the rhythmic chant of the ocean waves. This too is a form of love, a love for existence itself, a recognition of the divine beauty that Aphrodite has woven into the very fabric of the world. Her stories teach us that love is the ultimate creative force. It was the love of the cosmos for connection that sparked her birth from the sea foam.
It was the love of Hephaestus, the craftsman, that allowed him to forge masterpieces of impossible beauty. It was even the tragic love for Adonis that brought a new and dutiful flower, the anemone, into existence. Love, in all its forms, is an act of creation. It builds bridges between hearts. It inspires art that can last for millennia. And it brings new life into the world, both literally and figuratively. But just as her sacred rose has thorns, she also teaches us that love is intertwined with vulnerability. To love deeply is to open your heart, and to open your heart is to risk the pain of loss, the sting of misunderstanding, the sorrow of separation. Aphrodite, the immortal goddess, did not shield herself from this truth. She embraced it. Her grief for Adonis was as profound as her joy with him, and in this she gives us a gentle and powerful permission. She teaches us that it is okay to feel sorrow, that grief is not a weakness but a testament to the depth of our love. And most importantly, she shows us that even from the deepest wounds, something new and beautiful can grow.
Her essence is a quiet encouragement to live with an open heart, to not be afraid of the grand, sweeping emotions that make us feel alive, to seek connection, to create beauty, and to find the courage to be vulnerable. She is the whisper on the wind that reminds us that our capacity to love in all its many forms is the most divine and magical part of our being. So as you lie here, resting in this quiet moment, let her lesson settle into your soul. Think of the love that fills your own life, not just romantic love, but the love for family, for friends, for a passion that sets your heart alight, for the simple, profound beauty of the world around you. Recognize these feelings not as fleeting emotions, but as echoes of a great and ancient power, a connection to the very goddess we speak of tonight. Her story is not just a myth from long ago. It is a living, breathing part of you. It is the rhythm of your own loving heart. The legacy of Aphrodite extends far beyond the grand tales of gods and the passionate sagas of the heart. Her other twin domain, the realm of beauty, holds a lesson just as profound, just as personal, and perhaps even more vital for a peaceful heart and a restful mind. For just as she taught the world about the many forms of love, she also revealed the true nature of beauty. In our hurried world, it is easy to think of beauty as something rare, something exclusive, something to be pursued and captured. But the lesson of Aphrodite is a gentler one. Her story teaches us that beauty is not something to be chased, but something to be recognized. It is not a distant ideal, but a constant, quiet presence, waiting patiently for us to open our eyes and our hearts to it. Think of her birth from the sea. She was born of the ordinary elements of the world, salt water and air, animated by a spark of the divine. This is her first and most important teaching, that the most extraordinary beauty is often found in the simplest, most fundamental things. She encourages us to find her not in grand palaces, but in the delicate, intricate patterns of a frost-covered window pane on a cold morning. She asks us to see her not just in a perfectly sculpted statue, but in the gnarled, resilient form of an ancient tree that has weathered 100 years of storms. Her essence is in the vibrant, defiant splash of color of a single wild flower pushing its way through a crack in a concrete sidewalk.
It is in the joyful, unscripted chaos of a child's laughter. To see the world through the eyes of Aphrodite is to practice the art of gentle observation. It is to pause, just for a moment, and truly notice the way the afternoon light filters through the leaves, creating a dancing mosaic of gold and green on the forest floor. It is to appreciate the profound, calming symmetry in the spiral of a snail shell. It is to feel the simple, tactile pleasure of a smooth stone warmed by the sun, held in the palm of your hand. This is not just an appreciation of nature. It is a form of quiet worship, a way of acknowledging the divine harmony she has woven into the very fabric of existence. She teaches us that beauty is a balm for the soul. In a world that can often feel chaotic and discordant, the act of noticing a single, perfectly beautiful thing can be a moment of profound peace, a small anchor of harmony in a turbulent sea. It is a reminder that no matter the struggles of the day, a grand and beautiful order still exists. But perhaps the most important lesson she offers is the one that turns our gaze inward.
The tale of Hephaestus, the imperfect god, and his love for her, the goddess of perfection, is a quiet parable about where true beauty lies. Hephaestus, with his rough hands and lame leg, possessed a beauty that was not visible on the surface. His was the beauty of creativity, of devotion, of a soul that could forge masterpieces from fire and metal. And Aphrodite, in her wisdom, was surrounded by this deeper form of beauty. Her story gently whispers to us that our own worth, our own beauty, is not measured by the fleeting standards of the outside world. It is not defined by the reflection we see in a mirror. True beauty, the kind that Aphrodite truly champions, is a light that shines from within. It is the beauty of a kind heart, the quiet grace of compassion, the unshakable strength of a resilient spirit. It is the wisdom in your eyes, earned through experience. It is the passion that ignites your soul when you speak of something you love. It is the unique, unrepeatable melody of your own laughter. Aphrodite, the goddess born of the sea foam, reminds us that we too are born of the elements of the cosmos, of starlight and of ancient earth. There is a divine spark within each of us, a unique and beautiful light that is entirely our own. To honor her is to honor that inner light. It is to treat yourself with the same gentle kindness and appreciation that you would offer to a beautiful flower or a breathtaking sunset. So, as you rest here on the cusp of sleep, let go of any harsh judgments you may hold against yourself. Let the critical voices fade into silence. Instead, call to mind one beautiful thing about your own being. Not your appearance, but your spirit. The moment of kindness you showed, a moment of strength you discovered, a moment of joy you created. Hold that thought gently in your heart. That is your inner beauty. That is your connection to the goddess. And it is as real and as powerful as any myth. Let this gentle recognition be the final, peaceful thought that guides you into your dreams. A dream where you recognize the world and yourself as the beautiful masterpiece you truly are.
And so we arrive at the heart of Aphrodite's eternal message.
the final shimmering thread in the grand tapestry of her story. We have journeyed through her magical birth, her ascent to Olympus, and the complex, beautiful stories of her heart. We have explored the countless forms of love she inspires and the profound nature of the beauty she embodies. Now, in this quiet moment, we can see how these two mighty forces, love and beauty, come together to create the most essential principle of all, harmony. Aphrodite, in her deepest essence, is not a goddess of chaos or of overwhelming passion alone. She is a goddess of balance. Her very existence is a testament to the idea that the universe is not a random collection of disconnected things, but a single, magnificent, and interconnected whole. She is the divine artist who paints the world not in single, stark colors, but in breathtaking blends and gentle gradients. Think of her relationship with Ares, the god of war. It was not just a story of passion, but of the harmony that can be found in the dance of opposites. She was the peace that gave meaning to his struggle, and he was the strength that protected her gentleness. Together, they represented the fundamental balance of the cosmos, that for there to be creation, there must be a raw, untamed energy. For there to be peace, there must be an understanding of conflict. Their bond was the universe harmonizing its most discordant notes into a single, powerful song. Consider her tragic love for Adonis and the cycle it created. This was not just a story of grief, but of the beautiful cyclical harmony of life and death, of joy and sorrow. Her happiness brings the vibrant life of spring and summer, and her sorrow brings the quiet rest of autumn and winter. One cannot exist without the other. Her story teaches us that life is a rhythm, a gentle rising and falling, and that there is a profound natural harmony in this eternal cycle. To accept this rhythm is to find peace. And in her own being, she harmonized the divine and the deeply personal. She was a great Olympian goddess, a cosmic force that could influence the destinies of gods and mortals. Yet she was also the keeper of the most intimate, vulnerable moments in a single human life. The first blush of a new love, the quiet comfort of a long-held hand, the bittersweet memory of a love that is gone. She connects the grand celestial dance of the stars to the quiet, secret rhythm of a single beating heart. In her, the epic and the intimate become one. The harmony she brings is a quiet invitation to us. It is an encouragement to find the balance within our own lives. She whispers that it is possible to be both gentle and strong, to be passionate and to be peaceful, to feel profound joy and to move through deep sorrow with grace. She teaches us that our own lives are a symphony, and that even the most sorrowful notes and the most jarring chords can be resolved into a beautiful, meaningful harmony. Her very presence on Olympus brought a new balance to the divine pantheon. She was not a goddess of laws or of logic. She was a goddess of feeling, of connection. She reminded the other powerful gods that a kingdom cannot be ruled by power alone. It needs art, it needs music, it needs compassion, it needs love. She was the heart of Olympus, the force that tempered its immense power with an equally immense grace. And so, as you lie here on the edge of sleep, imagine this beautiful harmony settling over you. Imagine all the disparate parts of your day,
The moments of stress, the moments of joy, the conversations, the silences, gently resolving, like the notes of a song finding their final peaceful chord. Let the balance that Aphrodite embodies be your guide. Let the peace of her doves quiet your mind. Let the beauty of her rose fill your heart. Let the gentle, loving harmony of her spirit be the final comforting blanket that wraps around you as you drift into a deep and peaceful sleep. For in the end, her greatest gift is this: the promise that all things in time can find their perfect, beautiful balance.
The stories have been told. The grand, sweeping tale of the goddess born from the sea has found its gentle conclusion for tonight. The echoes of her laughter, her sorrows, her passions, and her wisdom now settle around us like soft, fallen rose petals. Her journey, from the cosmic foam to the golden halls of Olympus and into the deepest chambers of the mortal heart, leaves behind not a silence, but a gentle, resonant hum, a legacy that has never truly faded. What is the legacy of a goddess like Aphrodite? It is not carved in stone monuments that crumble with time, nor is it written in ancient scrolls that turn to dust. Her legacy is a living one, a force that is continually reborn in the world, in you, and in every generation that is yet to come. Her legacy is the undeniable truth that beauty matters. It is the quiet understanding that to create a space of harmony and grace, whether in a grand temple or in a simple, humble home, is an act of devotion. It is the recognition that surrounding ourselves with beauty, be it art, music, nature, or the presence of those we love, is not a luxury, but a vital nourishment for the soul. It soothes our weariness, inspires our creativity, and reminds us that even in a complicated world, a profound and simple grace exists. Her legacy is the courage to feel. In an age that often prizes logic and detachment, Aphrodite stands as an eternal champion of the heart. She whispers to us that it is not only acceptable, but essential to feel deeply, to allow ourselves to be swept away by joy, to honor the depths of our sorrows, and to embrace the full, vibrant, and sometimes messy spectrum of our emotions. She teaches that our feelings are not weaknesses, but our most profound connection to the divine, the very language of our souls. Her legacy is the enduring power of connection. She is the invisible thread that links us not only to each other, but to the entire web of existence. She is the force that reminds us that we are not isolated islands, but part of a vast, interconnected ocean of being. Every act of kindness, every moment of empathy, every shared smile with a stranger, these are all small, sacred rituals in her honor. They are the ways we keep her spirit alive in the world, the ways we weave her magic into the fabric of our daily lives. And perhaps her most intimate legacy is the quiet permission she gives us to love and to be loved, to believe that we are worthy of a love that is as deep and as vast as the ocean from which she was born, to understand that our hearts, with all their hopes and all their scars, are sacred spaces, deserving of tenderness, respect, and devotion.
So as we prepare to let this story go and drift into the peaceful realm of sleep, let us carry her legacy with us. Let it not be a grand, abstract idea, but a simple, gentle intention. May you see the world, just for a moment tomorrow, through her eyes. May you notice a small, overlooked detail of beauty. The way the light catches a drop of dew on a leaf, the kindness in the eyes of a passerby, the comforting warmth of your morning cup. And perhaps her most intimate legacy is the quiet permission she gives us to love and to be loved, to believe that we are worthy of a love that is as deep and as vast as the ocean from which she was born, to understand that our hearts, with all their hopes and all their scars, are sacred spaces, deserving of tenderness, respect, and devotion. So, as we prepare to let this story go and drift into the peaceful realm of sleep, let us carry her legacy with us. Let it not be a grand, abstract idea, but a simple, gentle intention. May you see the world, just for a moment tomorrow, through her eyes. May you notice a small, overlooked detail of beauty, the way the light catches a drop of dew on a leaf, the kindness in the eyes of a passerby, the comforting warmth of your morning cup. May you honor the feelings in your own heart, treating them not as burdens, but as sacred guides. And may you remember that your own capacity to love, in all its many forms, is a spark of her divine fire, a precious and powerful gift. The goddess born of the sea foam is not just a character in an ancient myth. She is an archetype, a timeless energy that lives within the collective human spirit. She is the eternal whisper that urges us towards connection, towards beauty, towards love. A story has ended for tonight, but her influence is everlasting. It is as close as your own heartbeat, and as vast as the star-dusted sky above. And so, dear friend, as the final veils of wakefulness begin to drift away, let me leave you with a soft and simple blessing, a message of peace and hope carried on the gentle night air, inspired by the goddess of whom we have spoken. May you feel in the quiet depths of your being a profound sense of your own worth. May you remember that you too are a child of the cosmos. And so, dear friend, as the final veils of wakefulness begin to drift away, let me leave you with a soft and simple blessing, a message of peace and hope carried on the gentle night air, inspired by the goddess of whom we have spoken. May you feel in the quiet depths of your being a profound sense of your own worth. May you remember that you too are a child of the cosmos, born of starlight and of ancient earth, and that your very existence is a thing of beauty. May your heart be a peaceful harbor tonight. May the turbulent waters of the day's worries grow still and calm, reflecting only the gentle silver light of the moon. May you let go of any conflicts, any discords, and allow a deep and abiding sense of harmony to settle within you. May you be visited in your dreams by visions of beauty. Not the grand and unattainable, but the simple, profound beauty that nourishes the soul. May you dream of walking on a shore where every grain of sand is a tiny jewel, of hearing a melody that fills your heart with a joy so pure it has no name, of feeling the gentle, unconditional love of the universe wrapped around you like the softest blanket. May you carry the gentle courage of love with you, the courage to be kind, both to others and to yourself,
the courage to be open, to be vulnerable, and to connect with the world from a place of genuine affection. May you remember the lesson of the rose and its thorn, and find peace in the beautiful, imperfect journey of your own heart. May you honor your joys and be gentle with your sorrows, knowing that both are essential parts of your magnificent story. And as you drift deeper now into the soft and welcoming embrace of sleep, may you feel a sense of hope blooming quietly within you. The hope that tomorrow will bring a new dawn, filled with new opportunities to see beauty, to feel love, and to create harmony in your own small corner of the world. Let this peace be your anchor tonight. Let this hope be the gentle light that guides you through the darkness. You are cherished, you are worthy, and you are deserving of a rest that is as deep and as restorative as the ancient dreaming sea. The world will wait. Its demands will be there tomorrow. But for now, this time is yours. This peace is yours. This rest is your sacred right. Allow yourself to receive it, fully and completely. There is nothing else you need to do.
And now, the story is done. The final words have been spoken. The night has wrapped its dark velvet cloak around you. Let go. Let go of my voice. Let go of the day. Let go of all thought. There is only the gentle, rhythmic tide of your own breathing, rising and falling, rising and falling. The ocean of dreams awaits you, calm and deep and welcoming. Drift now. Float peacefully. Sleep well, dear friend. Sleep deep.